Let's talk about conflict resolution strategies for families. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about what you can do to stop having family conflict. In this video, we're going to talk about practical strategies that families can use to solve family conflict without resorting to yelling, blaming, avoidance, walking on eggshells. And I have a free gift for you at the end of this video that you will really enjoy to help with your conflict resolution. Nobody likes it when they don't get along with their family members, or even if they just think that one of the other family members might be not feeling okay about them. Then they start assuming, well, what did I do? What did they do? Are they angry with me? Then they start walking on eggshells, right? This metaphor that means, I don't want to break anything, but I don't know what I did, right? Sometimes there's just moody people, and sometimes there's a moody person in your family. Sometimes that person is really hard to please, and that can create a lot of family conflict. Maybe, though, your family conflict is just happening because the family doesn't have the skills that they need for how to solve conflict when it occurs. This is super common. In fact, I would say a lot of family conflict goes on unnecessarily because people do not have the skills needed to solve their family problems. One of the reasons they don't have the skills that are needed is because we all start growing up. We learn and develop our own personalities, our own ways of communicating. And sometimes as a family, we spend so much time respecting that we forget to respect the full family group. It's one thing to be an individual. We all have that, okay? We're all individuals. But we're also born into a group. We're part of a group, whether we like it or not, this family. It's ours. If we do not take time to decide as a family how we are going to solve our problems and become productive and happy and caring members of this family, then we're probably going to have a really hard, bumpy road ahead of us. That doesn't mean it may not come out okay. It could. Getting through a lot of struggles can make for strong people, but nobody says you have to have the worst outcomes first in order to get through those struggles. What if you just had struggles and you got through them in a better way and you bonded together all the way along? Did you know that that's actually possible too? But it requires some deliberate communication. Have you ever started a business? Well, if so, then you know that you don't start a business on a hope and a prayer. You have to have a deliberate plan, okay? You have to say, okay, I want to make YouTube videos about this to help certain people do this. Okay, so what is my plan? What type of videos? What is it that's my expertise? How am I going to help the people beyond the videos? What type of a team do I have to put together for the videos? How am I going to communicate with that team? What do I do if my communication is not good with the team? How am I going to fix that? There are a lot of moving pieces. What things do I need to schedule and have subscriptions to and whatever, just to make some videos for people, to give them away, honestly. So how do I do that? When we make videos, when we start projects to try to help the world in some way, we make a plan. When we have our most important business, our most important project, which is our family, why wouldn't we deliberately make a plan about what we're going to do and how we're going to solve problems? That is key. Probably one of the biggest mistakes people make when they try to solve family problems is they try to just dump all their emotions at everybody else and try to emotionally manipulate people to their side of an issue, when in reality that just creates more isolation in the family. It may get people to care about you for a bit, but now you're a victim. In your own family, you made yourself a victim, and now people feel a little bit ill-used by that because they don't like being an oppressor in their own family. They don't like being thought of that way, and they're certainly not going to want to think of themselves that way. So then there's a distance. There'll become like a lack of trust because the people behaved inappropriately. So what do you do then instead? How do you prepare the group for success? So if you've already subscribed to this channel, then you know I am all about the strategies and skills of self-government, and this is no exception. when you are going to solve family conflict, you need to first start with yourself and your own self-government. You need to be examining you and seeing what changes you need to make in yourself. And you need to start working on the skills that you need in order to communicate and solve your problems effectively. I would also take time to help the other family members get on board with the same skills. Now, if you're all adults already, which can happen when families are having conflict, then it's going to be harder to get everybody on the same page with the skills. If you're all still living in the same house and mom and dad are still running the show, then definitely just do the TSG parenting course or come to the parenting mastery training, which is a 3-day intensive training. Bring your older children with you and just learn all the skills that you need for how to solve all the problems, because that's what we do. We also help the roles get in the right place. We help people learn how to help out around the house when they're not, all those kinds of things that sometimes lead to problems with conflict in the family. But let's say you're adults, or not. How are you going to present these skills to somebody else when maybe you don't get to have that time to sit down and skill train them? Well, what I would probably do is say, hey, can I talk to you about something? And they might be like a little worried and say, okay, I guess. And then you could say, so I'm working on my communication skills. I realized I have not been communicating with you in the past, and I am, really well in the past, and I'm really sorry about that. What I would like to do is I would like to discuss something that we've had a difference of opinion on, but I actually want to hear your opinion this time instead of just talk over you and do things that I've done in the past to try to dominate the conversation, and because I felt misunderstood. And then they're going to be like, whoa, and say, so I understand that you have a difference of opinion from me on this particular thing, whose dish night it is or whatever. And then you say, so can you explain that to me, where you're coming from on that, so that I make sure I really understand. And then they explain it to you. And then you say, okay, are you open to hearing where I'm coming from on this? And then you start in. And by that time, you're probably going, oh, I didn't know that's how they thought. I didn't know that's how they felt. You might think, this may not be as big a deal now since I heard where you were coming from, but this is what I was thinking, right? Or you could say, this is where I'm coming from. And then say, so what do you think we should do? Let's create a plan for how we can both get some of what we want, or what we want to do for this, since we think differently about this one issue. Can we just be mature about it, right? Some people that take things personally, if you say that, they might think you're saying they're not being mature. But what you're really saying is, this is the way we do mature conversation. So, be careful about that word. Anyway, but then you say, can we just, have a plan going forward for this? Because I'd really like to hear more about where you're coming from instead of spend my time arguing with you. And I hope it's useful for you to know where I'm coming from too, right? And then you talk about that and you can start moving forward. It is more beneficial for your family to be on the same page about communication skills before this moment occurs, because there are skills like disagreeing appropriately, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, those types of things that really benefit your family relationships and struggles. And making sure that your family has a family vision, so that you know what type of relationships you're even trying to create in the first place, can be a game changer at getting everybody on the same page. So, since there's more things to talk about, I'm going to give you a free gift. I have a PDF that's all about resolving family conflict. And so if you go to the webpage, teachselfgov.com/strategy, then you will get strategies for solving family conflict. teachselfgov.com/strategy. I'll see you there.